This is NR2003 Predicts. We take the entry list of the top 3 NASCAR series, send them through the N ratings algorithm, set them up by their provisional lineups, and set the forecast as they will be on race day, and we see what the computer says will be the finishing order on race day. Saturday doubleheader here at Atlanta just before the Cup race, and Ross Chastain able to win in the Truck Series in his return. Austin Hill, Kyle Busch also making up the podium. We did have some fuel complications. John Hunter Nemechek was running up front, but he had to come down the pit lane very late. He ends up in the 13th spot. We also had some issues for drivers like Matt Crafton and Chase Purdy, who end up in the back of the field with mechanical issues. And in the Xfinity Series race, it was Austin Cindric who was able to get to the line first, followed by AJ Allmendinger, Jeb Burton, Daniel Hemrick, and Justin Haley. Martin Truex Jr. 10th in his first Xfinity race since 2010. And also issues for drivers like Brandon Brown, Harrison Burton. They're in the back of the field due to a crash here on the front stretch. So now it's time for the Cup race. 325 laps. Making up the front row are Denny Hamlin and Martin Truex Jr. Green flag flying here in Hampton. Well, evidently, Denny Hamlin was not ready to go. Martin Truex Jr. and Brad Keselowski already out in front early on in this one. Hamlin back to third. As far as average finish goes at this racetrack, Chase Elliott, despite a few less starts than a couple of the other guys, he is leading the way with a 10th place average, doing relatively well at what is his home track. Kevin Harvick leading the way on the win column. He is the most recent winner at this racetrack in 2020, as well as in 2018. He is tied with Kurt Busch for the most here at this racetrack. Trying to see what we can do to get back into the top 5. And speaking of top 5s, Kurt Busch also up there along with Harvick. 7 at this racetrack and trying to get around some lap traffic. He currently runs in front of the 4 car. Martin Truex Jr. got out front and he has 10 top 10s at this racetrack, and he just grabbed one here yesterday, getting a second place run in the Xfinity Series race, trying to battle it out with Justin Allgaier. Had some speeding issues that sent him to the back of the field, and that cost him the victory. Meanwhile, he's going to come down first for pit stops under green flag at lap 64. We'll see Brad Keselowski come down a few laps later, get out in front for a moment. But it's going to be Truex Jr. that cycles out back to the front, and he'll have a massive lead, actually, as he comes back out, trying to see if he can maintain that. Kyle Busch struggling to start out this season, looking very similar to what 2020 looked like for him. Took him a very long time to win a race, and right now he is not in a great position in terms of points, but obviously a lot of time to go, and we're certainly going to see him in the playoffs, but right now not doing so hot and currently off the lead lap. Martin Truex Jr. takes the stage. Kevin Harvick, Kurt Busch, Brad Keselowski, Denny Hamlin going to follow in the top 5. All of them earning stage points. Now we head to the second stage, and Martin Truex Jr. still out in front, followed by Busch. So we're right on board of the 1 car. It's going to be the 4 car of Kevin Harvick that's going to start to get his way to the front. And quite a solid driver at this racetrack. Got his first career Cup victory here in his 3rd start. Denny Hamlin trying to get as far up as he can and currently off the lead lap. Looks like he actually has some back end damage. Not sure where that came from, but that might be inhibiting him a little bit. I can see it, the whole back end is off the car. Meanwhile, there's been some struggles over at Stewart-Haas Racing, and right now Kevin Harvick, the only driver that's inside the top 16 in points, and at the moment Almirola is being outrun by his rookie teammates. Chase Briscoe really struggling to find their footing. And the 4 car hasn't been immune to that either. He has also been struggling to get a solid run going. And we're looking at the back of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He is currently at the 16th spot in points and having a pretty solid run, as is his teammate Ryan Preece. Trying to see if they can keep those spots as we watch Brad Keselowski and this other gaggle right here with Christopher Bell, Martin Truex Jr., Chase Elliott. We're now going to see some green flag pit stops, and Looks like the leaders are going to come down at the same time. Harvick, Busch, and Logano, although Brad Keselowski once again going to hold out for a little bit. And now we got a battle up here at the front with Harvick and Kurt Busch right after those pit stops. And one car trying to hang on with that 4, see if he can get the victory here. Although there's going to be more problems for Stewart-Haas Racing, as there's going to be a mechanical issue for Cole Custer. He is headed down the pit lane once again, and he is actually going to take it behind the wall. Something wrong underneath the hood. And so that is going to be the end of the day for the 41. He is going to finish in last position today. Kevin Harvick takes the stage. Kurt Busch, Joey Logano, Martin Truex Jr., and Brad Keselowski up there in the top 5 for this one. So now it's time for the final stage. Just over 100 laps to go, and Harvick out in front. Kurt Busch still in tow. Harvick continuing to amass laps led here, but he's still got challengers. This race is not being run away with as Kurt Busch fights his way to the inside. Brad Keselowski still in the draft. Gotta give some respect to Michael McDowell, still holding up in the top 16 in points and currently running 11th in that points battle and 13th on the track right now. Even though he isn't around anybody to make a pass, he is still holding it in good position so far this season for the Daytona 500 winner. Chase Elliott trying to get back up to that lead group, but unfortunately for the 9, he is unable to really see them anymore as he has fallen over 9 seconds back, just about 10 at this point. And Brad Keselowski starting to fade a little bit as well as he has dropped over 3 seconds back off of Harvick and Busch, although now he's going to become the first driver to come down the pit lane. He had been the one that had held out for a couple of laps before. This time he tries to short pit it, knows that they can be inside their fuel window, and see if he can get some advantage on the 4 and the 1 cars. And there's going to be an untimely caution here. Looks like debris on the racetrack. Fortunately, looks like most of the pit stops have ended. However, Joey Logano, we just saw him flash by on the screen with the leaders. He just fell a lap down, and he was looking like he could have had a chance to at least contend for the win. That just got dashed as he was just going a lap down as that caution flew. So now it's Kurt Busch, Keselowski, and Harvick out in front. Logano is not going to have a chance at it, and Kurt Busch working his way through the traffic and getting away from the 2 and the 4 cars. And we mentioned that Kurt Busch was tied for the most wins here among the active drivers, but that last win hasn't come since 2010. He does have 5 straight top 10s here at this racetrack, but he hasn't been a constant threat to win these races. In fact, the last time that he won at a 1.5 mile track of this configuration was that same year, 2010 at Charlotte. He won at Las Vegas last year, Kentucky the year before. But this is a different shaped track, and right now he is making it his own as he has taken the white flag, and he has gotten through the lap traffic a little bit better than the 2 and the 4 cars have, as they're still trying to battle with some of those cars in the back. Kurt Busch has clean air out in front of him, and he is looking solid. He currently runs 10th in the points, but only has 2 top 10s on the season, and those intermediates have not been kind to him so far, so you can understand why it's a bit of a surprise to see him out in front here at Atlanta. However, coming off of turn 4, Keselowski and Harvick have nothing for him. Kurt Busch is going to win here today at Atlanta. And we will keep that streak of different drivers winning alive for now, as the 1 car is going to go to victory lane. And he has clinched a spot into the playoffs. We look at the final finishing results. Busch out in front, Keselowski, Harvick, Elliott, Truex Jr. in the top 5, and Christopher Bell rounding out the lead lap cars. Kyle Larson, Joey Logano, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. a lap down, but solid run for the 47 car. Kyle Busch able to grind his way back to a top 10 finish. Moving back a page, and Denny Hamlin just outside the top 10 along with Ryan Blaney, and Michael McDowell maintained that position we talked about earlier, 13th spot for him. We also see a couple of SHR drivers, Chase Briscoe in 17th, Eric Almirola in 20th. A solid run for the rookie, but obviously the 10 car is going to need to find a lot more speed if he wants to contend for the playoffs again. Matt Benedetto has been having a struggling season. It's going to continue today with a 25th place finish. Didn't mention Austin Cindric's return to the Cup Series with intermediate track. He finishes 29th in his debut in that respect. And Cole Custer, the lone driver to drop out of the race, mechanical issues for him. That is it for NR2003 Predicts. We hope you enjoyed the race, and we will see you all next time.